Yes, sir.
Thanks. Okay, let's start our class today. Today I'll talk about basics of functions, and with functions we'll also discuss something called a scope. What is the scope of a variable, scope of a function, scope of an identifier? And I quite often see a lot of mistakes people make in using functions, in identifying and understanding the scope. So today I'll discuss the basic part, and as the time progresses, we'll probably get into more detail, more deep dive scenario. So what are basically functions? Why do we need them? How do we use them? We'll often hear a word called arguments and parameters. What is the difference? When we define a variable, where can we use it? Where we can't use it? And they'll find scopes are two kinds. One is called lexical, other is called linkages. We'll try to give examples of both. The primary reason we use functions is given set of instructions, can we make them reusable so that we don't have to write or repeat the code again and again. Writing the code in one place also makes it easier to maintain. Let's say we're making a mistake and we return the code three places, then we end up have to correct it three places or something of that kind. So when we write functions, the major benefit we get is because something already written, we can reuse it, and that makes it a lot more easier. Our program writing becomes much faster. And if you have a lot of functions which can be reusable, you can put them into the library, and that is what is called a library. The libraries are again two kinds. One is the standard provided by the C language. One is we can define our own set of library. We will not get into how to build our own library. Certainly going to can we use our own functions and define that part. So far in the programming you have done, we have encountered or used three functions: main, which identifies the main entry point or the place where the execution should begin. And that's why when you run the program, there has to be entry point where program should begin execution, and that is called main. Then we use function printf, where we can pass number of arguments to print the values. In other sense, printf supports variable number of arguments. We will not discuss that how to implement variable number of arguments, but we'll at least try to look at how to pass arguments, how do we use them, and how does they look at. Same is true for scanf for reading, and that's what we basically do. So what does function do? Functions primarily allows us to group commonly used code into a one compact unit, or maybe multiple compact unit, and then we can reuse the compact unit as many times as we want. For example, let's say we have a code and we want to use it to compute the total marks of 6 students of a class. So rather than putting 60 times that code, you can put that code into one function and invoke that function, and life becomes a lot more easier. It also makes code more organized, more structured, elegant, readable, and becomes better to use it, and debugging also becomes faster. So how do we create a function? Typically, if you look at the function, first you need to declare or define what does a function do. Basically, define or group together set of functions, identify that this is known as this specific, identify a given piece of code with certain names, and what does function do, that will be inside the function. So typically a function, when you start writing, it is always recommended to write a comment block in the beginning. And comment block means is star slash star. Comment is then what does function do, what the function name is, or the parameters to be passed, what the return value would be, and then end of the command. So any command that begins in slash star and ends with star slash is called a command. So this is only for reading by the developer or the people who read the code, but this part of the code is never used by any program per se. It is only for the developer writing to understand what is happening. The typical syntax of a function is you declare what kind of return value the function would return. And if it does not return any value, you also need to indicate that does not return, and that type would become a void. Then how do you identify the function, the name of the function? And then what are the parameters that you need to pass, or the parameters the function would use? And these parameters have to be defined within parentheses. There can be a function without any parameters. There could be a function with multiple parameters. As you said, you can also define a function with variable number of parameters, but we'll get into that details not now. That will little advanced topic. Time permitting, we'll try to cover that later. And then you have curly braces within which you define the function body. Function body is set of statements, variable declarations, whatever the code you want to do that part. And lastly, you should do a return statement, what kind of value you would like to return. If it is a void, you don't need to have that, or you can simply do a return, because for a void meaning no values to be returned, you can't return a value. But for any other function, you need to return a value and use that. Given this kind of syntax, so we define the return type, what kind of value would return. This could be int, this could be float, double, complex, pointer, struct. We don't discuss the struct as of yet, or whatever that is. Then the function name, and then the parameters. Mostly what you would have done when you define a function, you can define them into a single file and use it. Let's say I'm building a calculator, and calculator I'm providing only 4 buttons, one for add, one for subtract, one for multiply, one for divide, and that means when I pass 2 parameters to it, then if it is an add function, it returns me the value after adding that two. If it is subtract, it should subtract second parameter from the first one, and same goes for multiplication and division. You can decide whether it should be integer return value or a float or double return value. That depends upon how do you define that function. About 2-3 lectures ago, I asked you, given your homework, saying compute the income tax of a person, and we given the requirement that the income is less than 2.5 lakh rupees, the person pays 0 tax. If the income is between 2.5 lakh to 5 lakh, person pays 10% income tax. If the income is between 5 lakh and 10 lakh, tax is 20%. And any income about 10 lakhs, tax is 30%. I ask you to write a switch block statement, switch and case, to compute the taxes. How many people have tried to do that code? I just wanted to show that what would be. If we look at, this is the basic code. Given certain income, our requirement was for the income less than 2.5 lakh rupees, no tax. Income over 2.5 lakh but less than 5 lakh, 10% tax. 5 lakh to 10 lakh, 20% tax. 10 lakh and above, 30% tax. Now, given that, how do you calculate? So if we look at the way I could implement a switch statement, how many people tried implementing this code using switch? Anyone tried? Can they speak out? No one, guys? I think you need to practice a lot. When I gave you assignment for practicing, and that's the kind of questions you're going to get in the exam. And if you don't practice, then you'd say paper is tough. That would happen unless you practice. I'll proceed. It's up to you guys to decide how much effort you want to put in. But if you don't put in effort, you should be willing to face the consequences, which basically means bad marks, or even might be failure if you don't spend time. So given the income, I divide that by 2,50,000 rupees. I'm doing an integer division. So if income is less than 250 lakh rupees, my value would be 0. If income is between 2,50,000 to less than 5 lakh, the value would be 1. If the income is between 5 lakh and less than 10 lakh, the value could be either 2 or 3, because the value between 5 lakh to 7.5 lakh, this would give me 3. 7.5 to 10 lakh, I'll get a value 4. And income over 10 lakh is going to be more than 4. Now, given that case, so that basically means when I'm defining my slab, value could be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. For all the values 4 and above, whether it is 4, 5, 6, 7, my tax paid is only 30%. So it doesn't matter. So I set my slab to 4. I'm saying if slab is greater than 4, set it to 4, otherwise keep it a slab. And this is what is called a conditional operator. I'm defining a condition. If the slab is greater than 4, which is true, set it to 4, otherwise whatever the slab is. I can also say slab is greater than or equal to 4, still be the same thing. And now we know that if the value is 0, no tax is to be paid. If this gives me value 1, the slab is 1, that means income lies between 2.5 lakh to less than 5 lakh. So I pay 10% tax. So I define a case 1, where tax rate calculate is given the income, subtract 2,50,000 from it, multiply by 10%, and you get the tax amount. The value happens to be 2 or 3. Value 2 would mean income between 5 lakh to 7.5 lakh, and 3 would mean between 7.5 lakh to 10 lakh. So both 3 and 2 case, I'm kind of combining together and saying the tax has to be, because the way tax calculated, for the first 5 lakh, you pay at the rate of 10%. For 2.5 lakh, there is no tax. So 2.5 to 5 lakh, the difference is 2,50,000 rupees, and 10% tax becomes 25,000 rupees. So we say 25,000 plus whatever income above 5 lakh, subtract that and take 20%. I'm combining both case 3 and case 2 and adding tax for the first slab, and that gives me the income tax. Other possibility is income is more than 10 lakh and above. That means I will reflect 30% tax. That also means this is 30% tax on income above 10 lakh. Up to first 5 lakh, I pay 10% tax, which is 25,000 rupees. Income between 5 lakh to 10 lakh, I pay 20% tax. So that means total income is, because my income is than 10 lakh. So on the income of 5 lakh, from 5 lakh to 10 lakh, I pay 20% tax. So on the 5 lakh, 20% gives me 1 lakh. 10% of 2,50,000 is 25,000 rupees. So together become 1,25,000 plus whatever income above 10 lakh, that subtract 10 lakh, multiply 30%, and that becomes my tax. And then this tax computation is done, and we return the tax. So if I am doing only switch block statement, you do not need this function block. All you need is this part of it. Now we like to use it doing computation for anything, any value.
Sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, can't we use nested switch case?
How? Tell me, you can, but how do you want to use that? You can use nested switch. There's no limit on nested switch. But how do you use them here? Any thoughts? What do you want to do? If you doubt, ask me, I'll be able to clarify.
Sir, first we can put switch income is greater than 2.5 lakh, then case 1, then break, then again default.
Look, see, in switch statement, this expression has to be evaluated as integer. That is the restrictions or a characteristic of the switch statement. Whatever expression you are giving for switch, it should evaluate to integer value, nothing else.
Yes.
So if you are saying switch income greater than 2,50,000 rupees, then value is a logical expression. Value could be either true or false. True meaning 1, false meaning 0. So it would be case 1 or case 0. And then you can do that. So essentially what you're trying to do, you are putting a convoluted way of using switch which could have done nested if. So if you really want to do that, you could have done a nested if income greater than 2,50,000 or if income greater than 5 lakh. That's the called nested if that you could have done, or cascaded if, not even nested if. So based on the need, certainly you can do that nested switch, nested if, that can be done. But you need to know what the need is and then do that part.
Yes, sir.
And any other question? So here now we're defining a function, and look, the function type defined as float. Because text, computer text need not be integer, it could be decimal points. So defining return value is float, then giving a name called compute text, that's the name given, and we need to pass only one parameter, which is called income, float income. And this float income is within parenthesis. And what does this function do? Compute text is the body is defined in the two curly braces. Now inside this body, which is inside my body, it becomes a regular C code. I can define my variables, define my identifiers, define my labels with switch statement, case statement, whatever I like to do, you do that. You can even define a nested function, but that will become a bit complicated, so I would avoid to use defining nested functions. So here, if you look at, I have defined one variable called tax, which I want to compute. That's the tax to be paid by the user. I'm defining another variable called slab, which I want to use in a switch so that I can use a switch statement. That should be integer, and I'm saying divide income by 2,50,000. Guys who are not speaking, can you please silent mode? Arvind, can you please silent? Guys who are not speaking, it looks like you are not even look at the class etiquettes, don't disturb the others. Now that I want to switch a statement, technically I can define case 0, case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, case 5, case 6. But you know my code for case 4, 5, 6 is single one. So I can do set slab, and if slab is more than 4, set it to 4, and that is what is being done in this conditional statement. If slab is greater than 4, set it to 4, otherwise whatever slab is, maintain that. So this is the condition part. If condition is true, set this value. If condition is false, set the second value. This is what we are doing. Then you do a switch slab. So when I come to the case 4, that indicates my income would be more than 10 lakh rupees. Doesn't matter whatever it is. It was even 20 lakh rupees. My slab would have given me 8, but I've set it to 4. So subtract my income by 10 lakh rupees, multiply by 30%, plus the tax. We know that less than 10 lakh tax is like 25,000. I do that and do a break. I don't need to validate tax. I am done. For case 3 and case 2, my code remains the same. The code does not change. So I can actually combine both case 3 and case 2 followed by each other. Case 3 colon case 2, it will fall through. And then I break. Then case 1. Why is that I haven't used the case 0? Any thoughts? Any thought why case 0 not being used here? Or if I were to use case 0, what the code should look like? Let's say I have to define case 0. What should the code be? Nitish Gowda. Shama. Varnika. Sudeep. Looks like you guys just signed in and went away. That's all I can make out. You guys just signed in and went away. And that means you are not in the class. Neeraj. Yeah, tell me, Neeraj. What should I do with case 0?
अच्छा sir.
When does case 0 would happen? What does case 0 imply? Mridula,
Yes, sir.
what does case 0 imply? What is the
Can you
income?
repeat, sir?
Is it false?
With case 0, what does it imply? What the income would be?
25 lakh.
25 lakh? 25 lakh will be paying tax of 30%. When do I get my slab at 0?
When income is 0?
Income is 0, that's one part. What about if income is not 0? What if my income is 1 lakh? What would the slab be value be?
Yes sir, it would be 0 because we are
0.
using it.
So tell me what does case 0 means? Rakshari, Sanjana, Aditi, Aditya.
Yes, sir.
What does case 0 imply? What is my income when I get case 0? Amrita,
Yes, sir.
what does case 0 imply?
So can I come again?
What does case 0 imply in our case? If my income is 10,000 rupees, my slab is case 0. If my income is 1 lakh rupees, my slab is case 0. So till what
below
time?
2.5 lakh is 0.
Yeah, so when income is less than 2.5 lakh, my is case 0, and for that means I have to pay no tax, and I initialize my tax to is equal to 0. Since I already initialized it, I can actually ignore case 0. So even if I were to write case 0, I'll basically end up writing tax is equal to 0. Because already initialized, doesn't matter. Having done that, I committed my tax, I can return and use that. So let's say, how do we use? So I write my main function, which is a main program called compute.c. So we look at this function, compute tax. I put in a separate file. And this function, compute.c, I put it in a separate file. So this is my compute tax. Let me open that again so that and this is my main program. Can you guys see? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So I'm calling main and saying my arguments would be number of incomes, and for each given income, I would like to compute the tax. So I'm defining a variable tax which I'll use to basically store the value the function returns. Income is the one that I'll read from command line. I know that my number of arguments are being passed. So I put a simple loop for int, compute the income as the next argument, invoke the function compute tax with this income, and whatever tax I get, I print the value income and tax for this income, that's the tax. If I give 3 arguments, it gives me 3 tax different values. And if you look at, I defined main code is one file called compute tax.c. My function I defined a different file called compute tax.c, and main is called income tax.c. Your function need not be in the same file. So when you're defining your function in a different file, you probably need to indicate that which functions are you using, so that the same can be defined. That I'm invoking a function, compute tax, which is float type, returns float type, and it needs a one parameter called income, which is again float type. And that is why invoking it, and I'm being done. If I don't declare it, by default it assumes the return type as integer, and that could be a problem because I'm trying to use a float. So let's run this program. First, I'll compile. Just want to compile my function separately. I can say C is for only compilation. I can say income tax.c. It will only compile, it will not generate executable code. I can compile again. And I have 2 objects compiled. I need to link it. I can say my output is tax computation. Income tax.o is my compiled file. Compute tax.o is my tax function file. And now I can run say tax 2500. The tax would be 0. That's what it's saying. For the income, 2,50,000, tax is 0. Let's say if I were to give a different income, 2,51,000. So tax would be 10% of 1,000, which should be 100. And that's exactly what we are getting here. I can pass multiple incomes, 5 lakh, 1,000, 10 lakh, whatever, and you get respective income. So this is 100 lakh, you paid about 20 lakh, 25,000 tax, and so on and so forth. And that is what I defined you, given you the idea of how do we define a different functions. And that's what we're trying to do. Next thing I want to introduce you is something called a scope. When you define an identifier, what is the scope that identifier, even a function or a variable or name that can be used? And where you get an error, can you override it? So each identifier that you declare always have a given scope, starting from where it is declared till the end point of the block which is within it. So if the different identifiers, object, functions, if I use two different functions, I can use the same parameter name, but they would have a different scope. And type of other experts. So let me give an example there. So one is called lexical scope, other is called linkages scope. So right now we'll focus on the lexical scope. Lexical scope basically meaning when I define a parameter A, now if I try to use the parameter outside that function, that will give me an error. Or I can define something of global variables, I can use within that function, that could be fine. So again, the primarily lexical scope is begins where you declare it and it persists till the end of the block. I can write an inner block which can override the outside block. So I'll try to give an example here. Let's look at the same function compute tax. And look, what I have done is, in this case, I declare a one variable float tax. And in the switch slab, I'm also redeclaring it float tax. So I'm doing same variable name. One is right inside the function compute tax. One is I'm declaring inside my switch block. My switch block is this is my switch block. So if you look at the switch block, this text block, the text identifier, is accessible, has a meaning only within this switch block. And this text block, this text identifier, for this block is not visible because I defined a new variable text with the same name. So whatever the values are defined or used here, that would not be visible within this text block. And the moment this text block is over, existence of this text block would vanish. So this text block has a scope and life only within this block. The moment this block is over, this text is not visible at all. What is visible outside this is this text. I don't know whether you can see the color or not. I given this in the red color, and this is I given in a blue color. I'm not sure whether you can make out that color difference. Just to highlight that this text is defined within this switch block. So it has an existence only within this block, and outside this block, I get the old text. So when I use this, what would happen? I invoke the function with a passing the parameter called income. Income gets caught, used. I compute the text. When I'm computing the text, the local text is being used. But the moment I come out of the switch block, repeat, the moment I come out of my switch block, what will be visible to me is this text value. And this text had not been changed at all. So irrespective of what you have computed here, what this function would return is text which is 0. Does not matter what you computed it, because the namespace scope of this text outside variable is not inside this, it's outside the type of same. But if I take a different name, then I would be fine. And that's exactly what we had done. So if I were to use that, compute text 1, you see this is my text. I'm defining the overriding within the switch block. And now when I try to run this code, compile it, what is the text value I would get? Given this code, given this kind of messing with the scoping, for any income, what is the text value it will give me? Any thoughts? Ananya Goda? Ananya Pramod? Anusri? Apeksha? Arvind? Aslam Bhasa?
Sir, Aslam Basha present, sir. Sir,
Yes, sir, tell me, Aslam.
present, sir, Aslam Basha.
You tell me, I'm asking the question.
You are asking the question, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, because nobody answers, so you are not there. Does that proceed? What is the question I asked?
Sir.
What is the question I asked? That when I use this function, what is the text value that will be returned? That's the question I'm asking.
Answer.
Sir, he was sleeping, sir, Aslam Basha.
That was sleeping.
Hey.
That's when you just sign it and you just sleep, not attend the classes.
Sir, I am here, sir. That boy is saying something else, sir.
What?
I'm in hospital. Saying
Hospital, then don't attend the classes. If attend the classes, they need to be attentive. It is not just to say attending the class.
I'm attending it, sir.
Then you have to participate. If we look at this text is given as 0, and since inside this switch block I have a different text variable, that will always return 0 irrespective of the text computed. I'll probably run and show that. Compute text 1.c. I link it. Now for an text, let's say 5 lakh, value would still be 0. Whatever I give, I'll still get 0 because of bad coding. And that's where the scoping makes a big difference. And that's what I would like to identify and understand. So do some practice, work it out, write your own functions, and see that.
We have given tag 0, no sir. So it will show as 0, no sir.
Now what is happening? This is a 0, that's why you're getting 0.
Yes, sir.
So I'm posing a question and then up to you to decide. The question is, given this main code, given this function, which of the 5 answers would come in this place here? So this is the insert code. Only one of the 5 is correct answer. Work it out and we'll discuss in the next class. That's where scoping comes in. Which one would be the correct answer for this code? Thank you. Any other questions? Please let me know.
No, sir. No questions.
So guys, do practice. I know your next class. So I'll terminate. If a question, ask me, otherwise you can go away. You can drop and join the next class.